So I believe that our current real estate market, it is in a ultra bubble or bubbly state, right? They're saying, so I'm stuck. Well, okay, and so what do you want if you're stuck? You want to be bailed out? So the only way how you're going to be bailed out is if you get a loan and if you go into more debt. That's it. All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. So today I will talk to you about three things. One, renting versus buying in today's market. What would you do if you had only $1,000? And recession. Okay, so I have to touch on that and the real capitalism, right? Like the free and the real purpose of capitalism, right? So we'll get towards that towards the end of the video, but let's get into renting versus buying, right? So it is difficult to understand because we have been in this bubble mindset that we have to own. And yes, it does work when the numbers work. It is very simple. But if you are giving 95% of your hard earnings and of your salary towards your mortgage and taxes and bills and maintenance and all that stuff, it doesn't make any sense, right? So that's number one, right? On top of that, don't consider your property being a asset, right? Like it is an asset down the road if math makes sense along the way. In 20, 30 years, for an average person, it does make sense. You buy a property, you try to pay it off between 25 to 30 years, and that's it, right? However, in today's market, it is a little bit different. And why is it different? Because you can rent the same house for 60% cheaper than owning it. So we don't even gonna take into consideration having that down payment of 10%, 20%, 30%, right? Which brings me to another point, right? Like people call me up and they say, look, I put down 5%, I can put down 5% on a property, I can put down 10% on a property, I managed to save that particular amount, right? So if you take that particular graph aspect, right, and you say, okay, so $800,000 for a property and you have $80,000 in savings, which is 10%. I tell them, don't buy a house, right? Because if you don't have more than 20% at minimum, bare minimum, don't buy a house, right? Because you cannot afford it. You're getting into a market, your payments are going to be too high, and based on everything else that's going on, it will not make sense, right? There's other venues, there's other ways of making way more money, and you can rent the same house for 50 to 60% cheaper and keep your savings or that down payment of 80% and try to make money with that, right? So that's the first segment of the video. So the second segment, I had people, they called me up and they said, look, I have $1,000, so what should I do? Really, tell me. I have $1,000 and what should I do, right? Like I want to invest it somewhere. Obviously, you cannot buy real estate with $1,000. There's some stocks you can play around with. There's some, you can buy gold, you can buy bonds, you can buy all kinds of stuff. Even though if you're being honest and if you're being technical about the market, I'm not an expert, right? Please seek a professional advice. But I can tell you one thing. The best way how to spend $100 or $1,000 is in your own knowledge. Something that you can multiply over and over and over and over again, right? So people tell me, look, I'm stuck, working from 9 to 5 and I don't know what to do. I'm not making enough money. Well, I get it. I mean, everybody has the same problem, right? Doesn't matter how much money you make, there's always a shortage, seems like. But the best thing you can do first, you have to be an honorable and you have to be a good employee, number one. Number two, walk up to your manager, to your boss, if there's room to grow in that particular ambient or company, and ask them, look, I want to move up, right? Can you help me? Can you know what I mean? Like try to find a way. The best way so far, what I found, is don't just walk up and say, hey, look, I want to make more money in your company. And then you're just quiet, right? There's no execution, there's no idea, there's nothing. So you have to manufacture an idea. And I'll give you an example. So as an example, let's say you work in a, I don't know, manufacturing company somewhere, stacking some boxes in a warehouse, all right? It's a dull job, dark, boring, you don't make enough money, you're tired all the time, right? But you see that that particular company doesn't have good social media, let's say. So if you go up to your boss and say, hey, look, I'm into the social media stuff, I can, you know what I mean, like try to help you on this. We can advertise it in X, Y, and Z. And if you find a particular venue or a course and you say, hey, look, I want to enroll into this, you pay for that, and I'll make sure I'll get that return to you, right? That way. So two things you did here. You provided value, and second, you also made something that is of value for you for a long time, which is knowledge. And that sticks with you. Even if that boss fires you tomorrow, you have that knowledge and you can apply it moving forward. That's very, very important. It's not like that you're trying to do that. You still want to be honorable and you still want to provide the service to that particular boss or manager or whatever, right? So I believe that's the best way how to invest $100 or $1,000 and see an enormous, gigantic return on an investment, right? So then I spoke to people, and you know, they even told me, I had that debate, right, with myself first, and then I had that little friendly debate with others. And they said, like, look, you know, if you know, a decade ago I invested $1,000 and I bought, I don't know, Bitcoin at whatever that was, $500 or $700 a Bitcoin. Today the same Bitcoin is over 150,000 US, yada yada yada. I understand that, right? But your mindset, right? If you would have bought that Bitcoin at that time for, let's say, $500 10 years ago, right? And you were riding that wave, and you saw an increase of, let's say, doesn't matter, like 100%, 300%, right? And you saw your $1,000, you know, jump to $5,000, or let's say $15,000. The chances are likely, they're highly likely that you would have cashed out. So that's number one. But let's say we take the number two scenario. Let's say we take the scenario that you bought the Bitcoin and you forgot the password to log in, and somehow, you know, your Bitcoin got to $100,000, right? And you finally found the password, so you log in and you see $100,000. At that point, you probably would cash out. That's it. And then again, you're stuck, but just on a different level. Versus having $1,000 being stuck, now you have $100,000, and again you're stuck. Why? Because you don't have knowledge, right? And people say, look, I'm gonna manifest money, I'm gonna manifest this, and it's gonna fall from sky, from trees, whatever, right? Like you heard that many times. And manifestation only works if there's action behind it. So you can manifest, which means a roadmap, right? You're manifesting a roadmap and what you need to do in order for it to happen, and then for some odd reason everything falls into place. So let me give you an example. The harder you work on it and more laser focused, the luckier you get. That's it. It's very simple. Now we get to the third part, and the third part is recession, right? So I believe that our current real estate market, it is in an ultra bubble or bubbly state, right? It just doesn't make sense, right? So why doesn't make sense? Well, because the peak or the top was loaded. So the top of the market in real estate from, I would say, 2018, 19, and then through the pandemic, 2020, 2021, and 2022. And I would say even 2023, even though it started feathering down, we have seen, a lot that has been sunk into real estate market. So we have that top heavy in the market, right? Which is very high risk, right? Very high risk. So the chances are that people will not be able to sustain themselves. On top of that, the high risk, it has to come face to face with one another, if you know what I'm saying, because these high monthly payments will catch up to you. The affordability will catch up to you. Everything else around you will catch up to you. That particular asset, that real estate asset, is going to become a huge burden, and it probably is, right? So a capitalism, if you have free capitalism, right? So free market capitalism, what happens? Okay, natural progress. Open market, everybody starts buying, renovating, investing. Dollar goes a long way for some it doesn't. Why? Because knowledge is required, skill is required. Somebody that has, $50,000 to renovate a house that has skills is gonna do much better than if they have $50,000 and they have to hire everybody. It's just how the cookie crumbles. It's very simple. So that's free market, right? However, at one point in time, because everybody is trying to compete for the best position, they're trying to compete for the best product, they're trying to make money. That's the whole point. That's why people do what they do. Why? Because to make money. But when we get to a certain threshold or a point where it doesn't make sense anymore, then we get a recession. And then companies that are not as efficient, as reliable, as good, as smart, as innovative, right? They go under. That's why recessions are meant to happen. It is a reset. It has to happen. It's almost a must in order for the next generation and next people to have an opportunity, right? But recently, we have had governments and influence printing money and constantly jerking and kicking that can further, right? Creating even bigger and bigger bubbles, right? So they shouldn't have done that. The market should have been free as a bird. And it's very simple. If you have a product today, all right, that it's too expensive, nobody wants it, it's not worth it, what's going to happen? They will not buy. It is very simple, right? However, if you have a product, the same product that somebody else copied you or made it the same, but they're smarter, better, more efficient, more reliable, cheaper, faster, better looking, there's so many things on the list, guess what's going to happen? They will win the market. So they'll take the market share, and that's it, right? So what will happen to you? You will go under. It is very, very simple, right? So I believe that they should let the markets just be free. Very simple. Let it be free. Now, it contradicts with everything else. And it contradicts with the banks, it contradicts with the people. They're saying, so I'm stuck. Well, okay. And so what do you want if you're stuck? You want to be bailed out? So the only way how you're going to be bailed out is if you get a loan and if you go into more debt. That's it. So why should we invest into all these people? Which brings me to another point. If you, let's say, if you want to invest in a company, all right? And you say, okay, so everything looks good, and you find out that that company is driven by a genius, right? This guy is a genius. However, he's in an emergency room and he's connected to all these robots trying to save his life. So it's just a matter of time that these machines will let the CEO go. Now, my question to you, simply, will you invest in this particular company and that brain that's on machines, on life support in an emergency room, right? You wouldn't. So why should everybody invest into these people that made wrong choices? They believed something. They believe that somebody out there is going to save them. Nobody is going to save you, period. And nobody should save you. Why should they save you, right? And banks should look at not only the projection, but look at the plan. Like, what is this? You're gonna walk into a bank and say, look, I'm overstretched, I'm in an extreme death situation, I'm barely breathing, I'm on all these machines, but I still want to keep 2 cars, 4 homes, 6 pre-construction condos, and because I'm entitled. You're not. You made wrong choices, and it should be a free fall. If you can't afford it, I'm sorry. I don't mean, I don't want anybody to experience pain, but I think more pain is coming, right? Like, I did so many videos on this channel. I had graphs, the bull run, like the bull trap at the peak, and I'm bang on. Like I made this video long time ago, right? And I even said, like, we will get to a normalized market where we are today. This is normalized. Everything is functioning great. Wherever you go, nobody's even talking. Nobody's stressed, right? Because they stopped talking about it. And that's a normal market. And they're just praying and hoping that it will hit, right? The market went by, defaulted by, 15%, in some areas 25%, but don't worry about it. Like, for some reason I have a gut feeling that it will bounce back. Well, don't listen to your gut, because your gut is probably lying to you, right? Because it's lying to you, but because deep down here you're feeding it fear, and your gut is telling you, don't worry about it, just be patient and it will be okay, it will bounce back. It will not bounce anywhere, right? In fact, after this normalized market, we'll head into, delusional market, fearful market, and then the market where people say, okay, I had enough. Here are my keys. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Here, I just want to sleep. I had enough. I don't want the overhead or house or whatever, like whatever. I don't want it, right? So that's it. Like I hope you gained true value, right? Like this is my personal opinion. I mean, you might have your own opinion, and I'm okay with that. I completely respect that. But I really want to hear what you have to say on these 3 topics. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.